Hey guys, be sure to check out our sponsor, Spiders Will Eat Your Face, available on Amazon Prime, Instant Watch, and Amazon.com. Spiders Will Eat Your Face is a documentary about the history of pet tarantulas in America. That is Spiders Will Eat Your Face, the movie on Amazon.
Hi, I'm Joe.
And I'm Mike.
And you're listening to How Many Fingers Am I Holding Up? The podcast. And this week we'll be reviewing It Comes at Night.
Oh, I know this one. Darkness.
No.
Raccoons.
Mike, no.
Crippling Thoughts of Self-Doubt.
Well, no, Mike. Welcome to How Many Fingers Am I Holding Up, featuring two guys getting slizzard and reviewing movies in a weekly podcast form.
And that synonym comes from my good friend Tony Trombador on Facebook, who
Say what?
apparently thinks that we are fly like a G6.
I don't like that.
Joe doesn't like that reference.
Mr. Tony, stop it!
I like it. I like a little throwback now and then.
I'm kidding,
Just a
Tony.
little taste.
Keep sending them our way. We'll keep reading them.
Yes, of course. But Joe, do you wanna
I don't.
say this next line?
This may be our third take because I'm not able to say the signature. Let us
delay
delay
no further
no further
betwixt us.
betwixt us is Connor Burns.
That is I.
Connor Burns. Connor Burns. Burn it down. Burn it down.
Sorry.
But Connor and I have a very little special relationship.
It is.
Connor, this is a big week for Connor.
It's a big week.
You
Big
just had
week.
your birthday yesterday.
Yesterday, big 2-5.
Happy birthday.
Thanks,
Big
guys.
2-5.
Big 2-5.
Wish I was 2-5.
Oh, yeah.
I want to be short again. How big is that? Like
2 inches 5 feet.
Very small.
Very tiny.
Imagine all the small places I could fit into. And next weekend, as of today, the day that we're recording, you'll already be married by then. But you're
I
getting
will.
married
Yeah,
next
I am.
weekend to my girlfriend, Sabri's younger sister,
Yeah.
Sierra Hawkins. But
Yeah.
not for long.
No,
It's going to be
Sierra Burns.
Sierra
Sierra
Burns.
Burns.
And make
'Cause-
sure she remembers.
Oh, she will.
No, but dude, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
Thank you very much.
I feel like we've been trying to work you on this podcast since it started, but literally as soon as we started this podcast,
Yep.
you went off and you moved to
I
Oklahoma.
was like, bye. I gotta go. I gotta move to the barren wasteland of Oklahoma
How's
that
that?
I love. Yeah. No, Oklahoma's great. It's different. I mean, Pennsylvania, I love so much. I grew up here, but Oklahoma's got its nicest people. Nicest
believe
people.
that.
Everybody
I think
on the
anywhere
East
but
Coast.
this area is
Yeah.
probably nice people.
They're all dicks here, and like Oklahoma, they're like four-way stops when you're stopping at a four-way
Everybody
stop.
stops.
Everyone stops, and everyone's like, "Go ahead, go." No, you go. No, you go first though. No, okay. And then we all go at the same time, and then we're like, "Oh, sorry." It's like driving in Canada, I assume.
Yeah, no.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, no, it's the... I haven't been that deep into America. I mean, I know you have gone on like tour or whatever. I feel like the deeper you go into the middle of America,
The farther you get
or
away
even
from the coast, the
Yeah.
nicer everybody gets. Yeah.
if you're a white guy.
Yeah. Absolutely true, though. Yeah.
Also true. Yeah.
The deeper it gets, the more of a nightmare it is. Let me tell you this. Stay on the coast.
Stay here. Don't leave.
Check out our review of Get Out.
I was literally about to say. What are you doing here in Oklahoma? Get out.
Get out.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but if you're watching on video, you might notice we're in a different location. So I just want to give a big thank you to Caitlin Burns, former guest, sister, of Connor Burns.
We've got this
current
whole
guest.
family thing going on.
We have a very
Family-
incestuous relationship going on
Yeah,
with
we
this
do.
podcast right now.
We've never recorded like outside of like my apartment or your apartment. So this is
Special location.
Dang.
it took us a while to get this all set it up.
Set it up. Yeah.
But it is set it up now.
It took a really long time. I was angry.
Yeah, Connor was
So-
fuming in the corner. He's like, "Are you kidding me?
was
I'm
just-
getting married this week."
Stomping on
Connor was
ants.
like, "Call my agent."
I got here, there was no trailer set up. I was like, number one fan, no trailer.
No fresh fruit.
What the
Where's my
hell?
cheese platter?
I was pretty upset, guys, but you know what? Let's get past it.
We can get past it.
We're all
think we
just
can.
thank you, Caitlin,
acquaintances.
for allowing us to use this location.
Shouts to Caitlin. Hey, girl.
We're gonna fuck it up. But this week we're drinking a beer that Joe's gonna pronounce because I don't know how to say that.
It is Narragansett.
Sure.
I've drank this beer all the time. I've drank this beer all the time. I was just I don't know, it's just like it's by that same. Do you remember that other beer that we got?
The Baltimore one.
Yeah, the High Neighbor, or that's on that too. But the thing that I've been gushing about, and no one really seems to think it's as cool as I do, but they've reverted back to the 1975 can, which is
In Jaws.
this is the beer from Jaws. Come on, look at that! If you're on video, if you're on audio, imagine
Can't see it.
the beer from Jaws.
Go back, watch Jaws. Pause this video. Go watch Jaws
Right. Mm-hmm.
in its entirety. Remember what the beer can. Looks
You know
like,
the
and
beer
then-
he crushed, the beer
Specifically.
can he crushes. Jaws when he goes home and he's like, I had a really rough day, and he's kind of like at the bottom of the ocean. He's like, I need a beer.
He's at the bottom of the ocean.
Jaws, that's where he lives.
The
shark. The shark.
We're talking about the shark. Okay.
His name is Jaws.
His name is Jaws.
Mr. Jaws.
Mike, he's the title character. What do you think his name is? Steve? No, his name is Jaws.
Where was his best actor nod? Am I right? Come on.
The titular character Jaws. This is all right for a light beer.
Yeah.
I like it better than
It's-
what was the other Baltimore one that you, or maybe not Baltimore, but
It begins with an N.
I want to say Natty, but it's Natty Bo, National Bohemian. Natty Bo,
Yeah. Wow. The memory on this one.
Well, I was thinking Natty Light, and I was like, that's not it.
But I think this is their more popular beer or whatever.
It is way better.
Yeah,
Maybe
this
not-
isn't bad.
Maybe not as
It's
old.
kind of heavy though. I don't know if there's the alcohol content, but I had like 4 of these the other night, and I was like, "Whoa!" Like, it gets to you. It catches up.
I'm not usually a lager guy, but I like this. See, my
I'll stay a little longer.
Just a little bit.
Did that work, guys? Do you think people are laughing? Please be honest.
I can't hear them laughing.
Can you guys give me notes on that joke?
this episode.
My email is
Oh no, I'm not talking about Mike and Connor. I'm talking about you guys at home. Can you guys send me notes on that joke? I've been, testing it out around some friends, and I just
my PO box
Yeah.
is.
what were we gonna say?
It's a good question. Oh, I was gonna say this episode is gonna have a lot of laughter because I laugh a lot when I listen to you guys. So
I laughed a lot during It Comes at Night. So.
Did you really?
I,
Grief!
They're having a horrible time.
Complete dread!
you don't know what's happening.
Oh boy! But announcement that we've been making for the past few weeks.
Yep.
Past few weeks. July 16th at 4 p.m. we will be recording a live podcast episode at the 5th annual Philadelphia Podcast Festival. So that's July 16th at 4 p.m. at the at Tattooed Mom. Just Tattooed Mom at her house.
Right,
Philadelphia.
yes. That's what we call her. She's never told us her name.
I'm just the Tattooed Mom.
It's just like she's never told us about any children, but
You know she's a mom.
you just look at her.
I got like 10
I don't want to go
kids.
into the specifics.
You know she's left a trail of abandoned kids along the United States.
I don't know where any of my kids are, but I'm getting another tattoo this weekend. I can tell you that.
tattoo.
I have all their names tattooed on my back.
I want another butterfly. You've had enough butterflies tattooed, Mom. No, another one.
Put it
There's
right
no more room
over
on
the
your
other
lower
one.
back. Your ankles are just complete darkness. There's too many butterflies down there.
But yeah, that was a tangent of our promo for the Philadelphia Podcast Festival.
Hope the creators are listening. This isn't what we wanted at all.
It's not what we thought we were
No, big ups to Tattooed Mom for hosting this. And there'll be a bunch of other podcasts recording that day as well. So I think it starts at like 12 or 1. So come on out early, check everybody else out, and buy a beer, drink with us, buy some merch, and then participate. Because I think we're going to try and do more of like a live audience type thing. Where
Yeah, we want to have like people up on stage. We want to have people, there's
we
no...
want to humiliate you.
Yes, there's no specific movie that we want to cover, really. We just want to kind of, bring people up, talk about movies. We'll make fun of your favorite movies to your face.
Yeah.
And be like, that's wrong. Zero
Here's why.
fingers.
But should be a lot of fun, so come check that out. And who do I have notes for? Yeah, I have notes for this.
You do.
one. So you want to give me the IMDb description? We'll
Dear Lord Jesus, I hope you got notes. All right. Whoa, this looks like a big one. IMDb description. Secure within a desolate home as an unnatural threat. Let me start that one over. Secure within a desolate home as an unnatural threat terrorizes the world, a man has established a tenuous domestic order with his wife and son, but this will soon be put to the test when a desperate young family arrives seeking refuge. And I feel like Mike and I were talking about this earlier, like, Mike's like, do we just say, like, spoiler alert right off the bat? But I feel like we can kind of get to spoiler alert, like, after we kind of set up, like, what's happening in this
We're
world.
going to try to push
kind
it
of.
off as long as possible, but just
I feel like
if
as long
you haven't
as-
seen
yeah.
this movie and you do want to see this movie, and I will say I recommend seeing this movie, just I think it's pretty cool. You're going to want to watch out for our spoiler alert, and we'll try to be
Yeah, definitely. But you can listen for
Pretty
now
upfront with the
and see
warning.
if you're intrigued with up until the moment the IMDb description has just keyed us in on.
let me set the stage for It Comes at Night.
Tell me something about Trey Edward Schultz.
He wrote and directed this, and he's 28 years old.
Amazing.
Fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Not doing much with my life.
Successful at 28.
It's amazing.
You still got 3 more years, Connor. You're okay.
Yeah. I'm the ringer here.
But he had previously wrote and directed Krisha, the short film, and then that went on to make the Krisha, the feature length, which won the Grand Jury Award at South by Southwest, then went on to screen at Cannes, the London Film Festival, and the AFI Film Fest, and then it won the John Cassavetes Award at the 2015 Spirit Awards, which I think is like for low-budget films. Like I think it's under 500 or 600,000. And it was well under that because it was made on a Kickstarter budget of just under 15,000, and he casted almost exclusively from his own family and friends. Himself, he's in the movie too. I think there's only 2 roles that aren't people that he knew, like people that he actually auditioned.
I think the dad is one of them.
And they shot for 9 days at his parents' house, and the entire movie takes place at that one location. But it's definitely worth watching. It's got a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the whole thing was inspired by a relationship with his alcoholic father, and then an incident with his cousin who ended up having a relapse at a Thanksgiving dinner. That's kind of what Krisha is all about, is this character, Krisha, relapsing from alcoholism at a Thanksgiving dinner.
And drugs.
But I don't know if we haven't really talked about Krisha on the podcast. I don't know if we have, Joe.
We haven't, and I mean, I don't even know if we talked about it, like, when we were... Like, was it a film of last year? Like, I feel like it was released to the public last year, but it was doing a festival circuit, like, even back in 2015, kind of.
It was the 2015 Spirit Awards, which are in
Oh,
February
really?
of 2016.
Okay.
So it was for the film year
Oh, then
2015.
okay, then that's 2015.
Yeah. But
I
yeah,
got to
we
take
didn't-
that
no
out of
one
my
really saw it until
letterbox list.
2016.
That's what's important.
Yeah.
Jerk. Got to move it to the right appropriate year.
Yeah, we haven't gotten the chance to talk about because this is like a really masterfully made movie. Connor, were you able to see
I
Krisha?
did. I watched it this week, actually.
It's really
Before or after you saw It Comes at Night?
After.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
It's fucking mind blowing that he was able to. I don't know.
It's like the perfect like success story. Like it warms my heart as much as I'm jealous of this fucking asshole at 28, like experiencing all this success. Like it's awesome to make a film for 15,000 to have like all of your family members be like, yeah, not only can you like use our house, we'll be in it, we'll help out, like the entire crew and all that stuff too. Like that's just super super cool to like have that really like indie shoestring budget like success story.
And the first time
And
I
to
watched
make it,
yeah.
it doesn't look like a movie that was made. I mean, you can tell how they could make it on such a small budget, but it's not like it looks like a $15,000 movie. Like,
Oh, right,
it looks
right, right.
incredible.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah, it
like
doesn't look
a
low
higher budget indie movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine more professional indie filmmakers out there, or even just fucking high budget, high caliber directors, like will never make a film like that. Like
Yeah.
it was just really good. And again, at the beginning when I was watching Krisha, I was like, this motherfucker lives in like a big house,
I
like
know.
whatever, like, you
Yeah.
know, and I really like wrote it off. I mean, you found out the same way that I did was Bo Burnham was on the Pete Holmes podcast and he gave like a shout out to it. And he was kind of like, this is the most incredible film that I saw this year so
Yeah.
far.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was kind of like, oh wow, like I should go check that out. And then I think it showed up on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Be able to watch
That's
it
where I
that
watched
way.
it.
Yeah,
Um,
I rented it on Fandango, and then it showed up
Aw.
immediately on Amazon Prime, and I was like, well,
That sucks.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it on Amazon anyway.
I didn't like the movie.
Krisha or
Yeah,
this one?
Krisha.
Krisha.
Oh, I'm not gonna go into this movie yet. Come on, guys.
Oh, it comes at night.
And podcast
yeah.
over.
Why didn't you like it? It's like really fucking intense, and
Yeah.
like it's filled with like a lot of like, I don't know.
It's real. It's raw. It's real, and I like movies like that. But also, it was almost too real for me. And I thought cinematography was dope. How he changes aspect ratios and kind of how his shaky, because it's the same cinematographer on
Really,
It Comes at Night, right?
I didn't.
I mean, I can notice similarities. I, didn't
think-
actually look up
Because
whether
they
it's
use
the
like
same.
a
think
bunch
it's
of
the
different
same
aspect
guy, yeah.
ratios in this
Yeah.
too, where like he'll have a dream and it'll be like,
Yeah.
fucking like widescreen will like blow out. Yeah,
It's so tricky in this movie, but I think they use the same one. So I love the cinematography in it. I thought the acting was really good, and
I can't believe like Krisha's just his
I
aunt.
know.
Like she's a
She
better
was
like actress than
phenomenal.
Like
like.
everybody is just from his family in that. Like,
She
I
should
think-
just like she should have been up for like an Academy Award or something. Like
Yeah.
she gives like a really great performance.
no, she was really good. But I think the story is what kind of it was too real for me, and I felt at the end of the movie, I was kind of just empty. I was like, I was
it's not a
angry.
happy ending.
I was angry more than anything.
It's like really hard to watch at the end.
yeah, well,
it's like one of the most intense like dramas I've ever seen, to the point where like I almost want to categorize it as like a horror movie. So when I heard that
Oh,
he
yeah,
was doing
yeah.
this, I was like, yeah, because I felt like I was watching a horror movie with Krisha, even though it was just a family drama movie like going on.
and I think it's safe to say, or not, maybe not safe to say, but if you do have a past, with a family who struggles with substance abuse, or you've gone through things like that, it's not an easy movie to watch at
no,
all.
it
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
shy
I
away.
can't even
So
imagine.
it felt like I was at my own family Thanksgiving. So I think that's what more, like, as a personal side of watching that movie, which I try and kind of avoid doing that when I watch movies, but it was just so raw.
It's borderline traumatizing.
Oh, I know.
And I don't know
It's
anybody that
definitely
has
triggering.
like an addiction problem in my, like in my life, but like
You feel like you do after
to
watching
watch
that movie.
this
Yeah.
is like painful and it sticks with you for an uncomfortably long time. I just recently rewatched it and it was still just as painful. Like
Yeah.
it's literally maybe one of the most painful third acts I've ever watched.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't want to say that is a bad thing. I want to say that as like a compliment because of how well I don't know, Trey's able to portray this. I don't know.
Portray.
It reminds me of
Portray.
like mumblecore, the acting
Yep.
in
Yeah.
certain ways, and I know even like the scene where like the grandma rolls in on the wheelchair.
Oh, yeah.
They set it up on like a tripod, and literally she doesn't know she's in a movie in that one.
What?
So like they literally were just kind
That's
of like almost like
awesome.
capturing her in like a prank, like because they
That's
couldn't get her to participate.
Awesome.
I think he was on like Fresh Air with Terry Gross, and he was talking about that. She has Alzheimer's, so she was
Yeah.
just kind of like,
Wow.
oh yeah, like just kind of like fucking playing along, like you're just kind of acting around her. So like, yeah, and it's wild that his fucking mom is played by his mom. Like, everyone's so good.
No, his
in that
mom's
movie.
played by his
Well,
aunt.
yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay,
Okay. She's
then I
supposed
don't.
to be his mom in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
and then I
oh,
think
yeah,
his
yeah,
aunt-
yeah.
I think
Well,
his
his-
mom plays his aunt
Yeah.
in the movie.
You're right.
The
yeah.
aunt who takes care of him.
Yeah.
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 Well, spoiler alert.
Sorry, guys. Didn't realize. But yeah, and the sound design I didn't like.
No.
Yeah, the
In Krisha?
first of all, the Foley was way off a lot in it. And
know if I picked
the
up on
only
that.
reason I do that is because I'm marrying someone who goes to school specifically for sound. And she, like, when watching movies, she'll just point everything out
Oh, yeah.
on it. Well, afterwards, not during. She's not, like, annoying.
Yeah,
But
Don't let her watch less than 3. Because I did the sound for that, and it's not good. Did not go to school for that. We just didn't have
we
anybody
learned
else.
it as we went. Yeah.
hey guys, that
Mike,
short
learn how to do
film
sound
was
design.
great. I found that short
Thank you.
film, only turned it off a quarter way in.
Oh, nice.
So
That's
it's like,
all I need.
Got a quarter way. So
It's
it's
no,
5 minutes. Yeah.
that's all I need. Yeah.
felt real uncomfortable
That's a
for a
play on
little
YouTube.
bit.
See, the sound design in Crucia's, I think, is one of my favorite parts, and
funny.
almost what I think is missing from this movie.
I agree.
Because it is, I mean, like,
Sound
almost
design or the soundtrack?
sound design. Well, sound design and soundtrack, because the soundtrack of Krisha is kind of like
Noises. And...
it's
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
it's a
all
lot of
noises.
noises. I wouldn't be surprised if they did it in all post kind of. Like a lot of like the kind of like bang like
I'm sure
bouncing
they
and
did, yeah.
bashing or whatever. Especially like there's some film this year where I was reading All Those Sleepless Nights or whatever, that one movie. I was reading about how like the entire movie, like they didn't have a mic with them, like they just did everything in post, and like that's
Really?
how like a lot of indie films are kind of being done. It's just so much cleaner to do everything in post, especially if you don't need like that much ADR. Like I'm sure like a lot of the vocal shit in Krisha was done, but like I feel like the bouncing of the ball, the dropping of shit, like it was just like too clean to be like
Yeah.
on set or something. But no, I feel like in the first act, like when Krisha first gets there and she's like used to like kind of like living in like a house by herself, and the fucking like chaos of
Yeah.
like a bunch of boys and like just family like talking all at once
Yeah.
in just a big home that's filled with like lots of noise, like that is like the closest I feel like film has been to portraying like what is anxiety.
Anxiety.
It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
fucking
And, like,
everything
she's been
coming
in like
from
recovery for months too. So she's probably been like isolated or in like very quiet, calming places. And then like she comes to this first family event, and it's like insane.
again in like that's the other thing is like much like the third act and like how painful that is, like this first act and how like the soundtrack and sound design is almost painful on purpose just to like agitate you, you know, like so
Which I think spoke into the fact. I watched it with a pounding headache afterward.
I can't imagine watching that
after
movie.
like a 12-hour work day, and I was like, I'm gonna put this on while I fold clothes and pack for this trip. And I was like,
You have
oh,
to prepare yourself
God.
to watch Krisha.
Yeah, and I kind of went into it mainly just because I was like, oh, this guy is so young. He's only really done like one other big movie, and it wasn't even that big, Krisha. So I was like, I gotta watch that. I gotta bone up for the podcast.
In Krisha's also, did you ever end up watching the short film Krisha?
I haven't wanted to spoil the feature.
Krisha, the short film, is actually like a lovely companion piece because in a way it's only like 15 minutes long, but it hits all of the major beats.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, obviously there's a ton of like recasting, but a lot of the same people in it, including Krisha, and obviously like the short has like no budget, and he's just able to kind of, I don't know, it's almost cut like a David Lynch film kind of.
wow.
Like it's like if you took the feature length and David Lynch kind of like cut it down to 15 minutes. It's like, it's very bizarre. But but it works. It hits almost every major beat. I don't know. I was also gonna say fucking Trey Edwards Schultz reminds me of. Have you guys ever heard of the like French Canadian filmmaker? His name's like Xavier Dolan or something. He's been in Cannes fucking
Not
like
at all.
okay, again, he's Trey's age. He's my age.
So fuck him.
They're both he's
Get that on the
had
table.
fucking 6 feature-length
What?
films in Cannes, premiere at Cannes, my age, premiere at Cannes. He's won like 8 different awards at Cannes between those 6 movies and tons of others. Like it's kind of like he's always on the short list for the Oscars, and I feel like Trey borrows
Would I
from him.
recognize any of his movies?
I was gonna say I have never heard
All
of
of
this
his
guy.
films are like his most popular one is called Mommy. They're all French films, but they're all like very. He has to have some weird deep-seated shit with his mom because all of his films are like mom-related.
If you
kind
name
of.
a movie "Mommy," you definitely do.
Oh,
right
definitely.
off the
Yeah,
bat.
you have some like and I think then he has kind of moved in. I don't know. He's directed like huge people though.
like Andre the Giant,
He's gigantic,
Just like-
gigantic in size.
Hagrid.
But yeah, no, definitely go check him out. But also, yeah, anyone listening who wants to see a fucking, I think we already talked about this. I would give Krisha 4.5 fingers.
Oh, absolutely.
It's an almost perfect film. There's something missing. Go watch it if you have Amazon Prime.
It's something where
I
like
would-
it, because
yeah.
I think because of like the mumblecore aspect of it, it's harder to connect with the characters. Like you kind of feel like you're just watching the whole thing happen from a distance, and I think that's where that's what I feel like I'm missing is like really getting in and relating to one character as like, you know. someone-
I mean, I think it got deep into Krisha, but that's it, kind of. Like, I think it was like a very... The difference between, like, It Comes at Night is like a very...
It's still it feels like watching Krisha and like feeling sorry for her rather than like relating to her. I guess I don't know. It's a weird thing to like hold against a movie.
yeah.
Are they here?
I'm hearing a lot of noises.
Did they come at night?
Upstairs.
Oh, it's upstairs?
Yeah, they have neighbors upstairs.
I didn't... Oh, I thought Caitlin said she didn't have neighbors upstairs.
Oh, did they move out? I don't know. I got bad.
Yeah,
there's a
because
for
it's
sale
for
sign.
rent, yeah.
What? Okay.
We'll find out live. But
Yeah, I gave Krisha on my letterbox 2.5 fingers, which I will say
do
that
you want
was
to plug
kind
your
of
Letterboxd? 'Cause yeah, you're pretty big on Letterboxd.
not big. I don't even remember
You
my name.
use Letterboxd. a lot.
I'm a Connor Burns. I don't know my letterbox name. I'm not like famous like some of your other guest guys. I don't have another podcast to plug. No, but I gave it 2.5, which I think that was kind of like split down the middle a lot when I looked at reviews on IMDb and Letterboxd, and either people were saying like this is a near perfect film, or people were like, huh.
It seems like
kinda
a
what I feel like this
polarizing
movie
film.
is.
Oh, yeah,
we'll
this
get
movie's
into that.
definitely, yeah.
But there's certain movies where like certain people are going to get it, and,
Yep.
and then it's just not made for like the other like half of people.
Yeah.
But going back to It Comes as Night, because this is a review of It Comes at Night.
Oh,
not
is it?
Krisha.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
It's just such an
Right.
important film.
Oh yeah, but It Comes at Night was also partially inspired by Trey's relationship with his father, and I found this quote that I thought was pretty cool. Speaking about the film, he said, "That one I wrote right after my dad passed, so it comes from a deeply personal place. The opening scene is literally what I was saying to my dad on his deathbed. I was bawling writing the scene, but then I wrote out a narrative movie that has nothing to do with it, but it's still coming from those emotions like death, fear, and regret." So obviously he's a very personal writer. And then the only last note I really had was just something of interest was that in 2011 and 2012, Schultz variously served as a film loader, post-production intern, and intern on 3 of Terrence Malick's
Fuck
films.
him.
So also fuck him. Song to Song, Voyage of Time, and
Tree of
my
Life.
favorite movie of all time, The Tree of Life.
did he work on Tree of Life?
Like, that makes Krisha less
From
surprising.
what I understand, he didn't really work with Terrence Malick a lot.
Right.
He was working with like the B teams that were filming all the nature footage and stuff that he uses in his films all the time. So it would just be
beautiful
like him
shots.
and like 3 other people, and he would just be assisting the DP there.
Still.
Still cool.
wow,
Still. I mean, like, why am I... I'm like, not surprised at, like, a lot of, I don't know,
that's crazy.
his success if he studied under something like that, so...
But this film stars Joel Edgerton, Christopher Abbott, Carmine Jogo, Kelvin Harrison Jr., Riley Keogh, I don't know how to say that. Griffin, Robert Faulkner, and David Pendleton. And with that, we can come at night.
Okay.
Does make me hot.
Alrighty then.
But I think I was going to say at some point that whereas Krisha is this sort of like impressionistic portrait, like character study kind of Krisha, like this is very different. It's like a very atmospheric film. Like it's kind of like all
Almost
about
entirely.
like the mood.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it's just a very different film.
Yeah, I think the entire film is about like a feeling, really.
Yes.
rather, rather than a character in specific.
Right. So, I mean, I guess we can, without getting too deep into it.
Well, it opens up just like Krisha does, with a very uncomfortable close-up on a face.
Yes.
Which I like. That's his like trademark that he's building for himself.
Trademark.
Trademark.
DeMark.
So I'm here for puns, guys. That's all I can provide.
What did we have before? We had another one for Trey.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But it was when we hear it later, it was good. We know that.
Comment below if you know, because we're doing this in real time and I can figure it out and I'll reach back to that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I guess the premise is that there's like a highly contagious disease that's like kind of ravaged the outside world. And
Not that we really know that right off the bat.
Yeah, no, that's true. We're figuring that out. I mean, yeah, I mean the real opening scene is, yeah, I mean, did you want to continue your description, or I mean, like,
I was just making note of. I just like the fact that it opens just like Krisha does,
and it's
because that's a really like it's a scary opening in Krisha almost, because you're just looking
Terrifying.
at this like wrinkly face for like 5 minutes. It feels like, and it's just like kind of zooming in. It might even zoom in. It might just be straight on. I can't remember, but
and this one's
it's uncomfortable.
And this one's on the grandfather, right?
Who's sick?
Yeah, and he has this disease, and he has, I guess, like when you have this disease, you have like welts, kind of
It's like black lesions kind of like around your body, and then your eyes start turning black. So his are starting to turn black.
very plague-esque.
Yeah.
And beside him, he's kind of like laying in, somebody's kind of like put up tarps all
like a
around him.
quarantine
Yeah,
area,
and they have gas masks, and the lead character, Paul, played by Joel Edgerton, is kind of, I guess, asking his wife to say some like final words or anything before he like takes him out into the woods and puts him in a very shallow grave and shoots him and then lights him aflame. And to witness all of that is Travis, who is their teenage son, basically. And yeah, no, so I can imagine like that is like, again, if Trey's dad died from alcoholism, again, I don't know. I can kind of imagine like it was brutal.
Yeah, I don't think he
way,
probably
it's
didn't
not-
look good on his deathbed.
Right, yeah. And
Like
that's
he says that conversation is just taken verbatim from how he spoke to his father on his deathbed. I think the conversation is something like, it's okay to let go, something like that. And,
Yeah, when you have like cirrhosis of the liver or whatever, you get spots all over you. You get bed sores.
Right, yeah.
So if that's how, that guy passed away, then he looked bad when he died.
Yeah.
He looked ugly.
So obviously this is traumatic for Travis. Even the mom says, the mom
He shouldn't have had to watch that.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And Paul, the Joel Edgerton character, is kind of like, well, I couldn't have like lifted him out there on his own. He's kind of like the very strong silent type, kind of a lot during this film. Just kind of like the boy needs to grow up, even though like that's never really a thing he says. It's kind of implied in a way.
Yeah, it's like, there's just three people living in the woods by themselves trying to take care of themselves, and he can't be the only man that's like doing stuff. And
Right.
Because that's literally what he says, I couldn't have carried him out
Yeah.
there, but I couldn't have done it on my own.
Right. But yeah, I mean, we're opened up to this world. I mean, we gradually start to find out that, again, this, highly contagious disease has broken out. They mention through dialogue a little later that it's in like, it's in major cities, kind of, and obviously Paul, his wife Sarah, and Travis are taking refuge in this house where they don't even really like literally explain whether this is their house or like a house
Whether they found it,
that they stumbled upon.
I think the implication is that the grid has broken down. Is the more major thing, is because they don't even have information about what this, like, it wasn't like, you know, in a zombie film where they're like, oh, the disease is spreading,
Right.
get away from cities. Something happened and everybody left and the grid broke down as well. And so there's no, you know, they have power in terms of like they're able to charge stuff through a solar panel, but they don't have like technology, they don't have internet, they can't call anybody through anything, so they're just kind of in the dark in terms of knowledge in this cabin in the woods, just trying to survive.
Right. And I'm trying to think of other main plot points before we get into another plot point. But basically, I mean, long story.
I mean, a lot of this stuff is just establishing the like procedure that they take day by day in terms of they wear gas masks whenever they can. They wear these like black leather gloves to try and they'll put on like long shirts that are just trying to cover as much skin. You know, when somebody dies, they're burning a dead body. They board up the windows at night and, you know, open them just to let light in, but then they're reboarding them up at night. A lot of it is like showing just through their interactions, like the layout of the house, which is pretty cool. Like there's that room that we see the one guy die in, the grandfather, that's like the kind of entrance room. There's like a locked door that leads in there. That's where they have like a quarantine room, and then there's a red door that leads to the rest of the house that isn't all like bagged off and quarantined. There's like an attic that Travis keeps going to like listen to his family talk and be a creep.
Real creepy. Real creepy.
But also, like, what else can
real
you do?
teenage shit though. Yeah,
I like that like little.
it's a nice device
Because it's like it's what else would you do when there's no technology? You're a 17-year-old boy, and like there's no friends for you to talk to. The only people you know, I mean, I'm sure he knew other people before all this happened, but the only people he knows now are his parents, and there's no hope of really meeting anybody ever again.
Yeah.
Like,
Right. So then, I mean, I guess the next major plot point is that one night they. I don't know exactly how it plays out. I guess does Travis notice that there's somebody trying to break in?
Paul or the wife wakes Travis up to someone's in the house.
The wife
Right,
wakes
okay.
Travis up, and Paul's downstairs with the dog, holding the dog.
yeah.
So somebody's trying to like kick down the door, and then I guess Paul opens it, attacks him, kind of like knocks him out.
Which is kind of a weird scene
Yeah.
It is.
in retrospect, just because like they're sort of trying to be quiet. And I don't know if it's
Yeah, I
just the
don't-
audio where the audio is boosted so we can hear it, but it doesn't seem like they're being very quiet.
Yeah.
So like I feel like the guy on the other side of the door would obviously know there's someone on the other side of the door,
Right.
especially when they're shining. And again, you have to give a little bit of suspension of disbelief because we have to see the door.
Yeah.
But
Right.
he's shining the flashlight right on the door. Like it would be leaking through the cracks a little bit on the
Right.
other side. And you think this guy would be like, oh, there is somebody on the other side of this door.
Also, the dog barks like 3 times, and they're
Yeah.
trying to shut the dog up. But like, then there's a long pause, and then the door starts getting like almost kicked in from the outside.
Yeah.
Like the guy's still trying to break in, which is confusing. If you know,
Anyway, we'll get into it later. I think it still ends up serving the ultimate goal of this film in the end. I don't want to spoil that before we get into some of the more specific parts of this plot. But they're complaints that I have, but I do think they also kind of work at the same time. We'll get into that later.
Yeah, so I mean, this man who's trying to break into the house, I mean, yeah, Paul does essentially pin him, knock him unconscious, and tie him to a tree.
It's a really tense scene too, because he like
Yes.
the door opens and he fires a shot, and then like no one's moving for a minute,
Yeah.
and then the guy like you think either he got him, but then someone's moving after that. It's like I really like a lot of like the sort of action oriented scenes in this. I feel like are really well done, and I was not really expecting that coming from Krisha, because there's no like
Right.
action in that, despite being a tense movie.
Yeah.
But like the action like really hits hard in this, where like I felt like I'm really right there with all the tension going on.
But he basically ties him to a tree just because he says, you know, when your grandfather got sick, we could see the signs within one day. And he wants to know if this man is going to bring this kind of plague to them. He also, who's played by Christopher Abbott, by the way, who is great in this. He's great in everything. He's fucking great in Girls.
He was
He has
also in
such
realize
Martha,
till, like, yeah,
Marcy
Martha.
May.
yeah,
Which kind of has a similar feel to this.
It does. This is a very similar film. Also, that film James White, everybody like raved about that movie, and he was like the lead actor, and I never ended up seeing it.
Never heard about
James
it.
White.
James White. It's just called James White, and he plays James White.
All right.
And it's a good film, apparently.
Watch it.
I mean, that's still my favorite episode of Girls, is when he comes back to
The bottle episode
Allison
with him and
Williams.
Marnie.
Yeah, and then it's just like a really fucking great episode, and he gives a great performance. But
He was great, even like just in the regular 1 or 2 seasons that he was in. Like,
in like the first
I was so
season,
pissed when they like took him out of that show.
apparently like he and Lena Dunham had some like spat,
Really?
and he's like, "Fucking write me off the show then."
Doesn't
and
surprise
yeah, and she was like, "Yeah, do you think I'm not gonna do that now? Because I'm gonna do it." And like, I think that's what made that episode where he returns in a bottle episode like so much like greater, is that like they were maybe able to like cast some like bad blood aside and like make
I think
a
she
really
actually
great
talked
episode.
about it in like the after the episode, wherever they call it on HBO. Mm-hmm. I remember hearing something about that. But yeah, he's pretty good.
He's good in this.
Pretty cool.
I thought it was great in this.
Yeah, and
I think everyone's pretty good in this for
The
the
acting,
most part.
yeah. I got a few complaints, but
Travis is the only one that's sort of at times, but it also works because he's supposed to be like an awkward
Yeah.
17-year-old.
yeah.
So like, I mean, Christopher Abbott is good.
The way Sarah isn't given a lot either. She's
No,
kind
not
of
at
like
all.
it's kind of a really weak
little underwritten,
character. Yeah.
But I thought Joel Edgerton was really good in the role as Paul.
I love him. I gotta say it right now. I don't know how you guys feel about
Yeah,
him.
no, he's great.
I
Yeah.
have no
I-
problems with Joel. He's always
I-
given a good performance.
Yeah, I think he's great. I even like his directing.
Oh, what did he direct?
The Gift. Gift.
Which one was that?
It was a weird movie. Jason Bateman was in it.
I
It
don't
was
know.
about like an old friend coming to dinner, and then it's essentially a stalker, and he just keeps leaving gifts on their doorstep every day, and then it just escalates throughout the whole entire movie. I liked it. Really weird ending. So if you're gonna watch it, but him and his brother too. His brother does a lot of short films.
Oh, really?
Did you guys see Spider?
No.
Oh, guys.
Oh, is that the one where the couple is like playing
yeah.
pranks on each other?
He's playing pranks in the car,
Yes.
and he's got. I love that.
I
short
do-
Film
I do
so
like that
much.
short film.
And Joel Egerton's actually in that short film as a
Oh, really?
paramedic.
I didn't. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
but I
interesting.
just want to crush a little bit on Joel Egerton because I love him so much.
You know, and it's great that he's able to be in a like biracial
Yeah,
relationship in
Huge
this,
thing.
and I'm glad that Richard and Mildred Loving were able to set that up for him, so he can thank Richard Loving
I think it's
for
fair.
yes.
that's funny.
No, I do like the dynamic of like a kind of or it's just a normalized thing. Like,
Yeah,
where
it's just
it's
nice
not just
to have it in there and not really.
It's not a
there's-
movie about that.
There's no
Yeah.
attention paid to it, really. It's just
yeah, like at no point is he like, listen, you know, my skin's a different color than yours, and I know that puts a strain on our relationship. Kind of like it's just like a dad and a son.
Yeah, no, it's
It's an example of what Hollywood should be doing more of. It's just kind of like
Amen.
people don't fucking care. Just
yeah.
cast the people that need to be cast.
Yeah.
Right.
Doesn't matter what color they are. Just as long as they can act.
But I thought he was great in terms of bringing a little bit of like realism to the film. Like he has a lot of like physical realism that I really like. Like he trips like 3 or 4 times.
know.
And it's like really effective in terms of like making me believe everything that I'm watching. Just from like it's not even like in a horror movie when there's like chase scene and like you're tripping. He'll just be like walking somewhere and he trips and I'm like, yeah, that's what fucking happens when you're in the woods. Like, I trip all the time. Or like when he's trying to like load the gun at one point.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
jams. Like little things like that make me be like, all right, like
And
now
it'll
I
just like
believe
whisper
everything I'm
like,
watching.
Oh, shit. Like shit.
Yep.
Or you'll just
Right,
hear him
yeah.
go like
And then I really like the one scene when like he's trying to get Travis to go back in the house and he's like, I don't want to be the bad guy, but I fucking will.
Yeah, that was good.
It was real dad mode.
Right, yeah, that was really dead.
Fine, Dad.
Oh boy. trying to think what else we can talk about
without going into.
What point do you guys consider to be spoiler territory?
I think we could cut it off now. I mean, there's intrigue. He has somebody. I mean, and essentially, the Christopher Abbott character is selling him on this kind of like, listen, I'm only here. I mean you no harm. I thought the house was abandoned. I have a wife and a kid. Please, like I don't want to be fucking murdered over this like whole misunderstanding. Mm-hmm. And then Paul goes back to his wife and says like, this is what he's saying. And she goes like, they know where we live now. Yeah. Like there's no going back from this. And again, we could also kind of have that mob mentality where if somebody else tries to break into the house, he found this house.
And the other big
we'd
thing
have
he
more
says
people
is that
in there.
We have like 2 goats and 2 chickens or whatever.
We need food.
Mm-hmm. He says I can trade for them, and she's like, well, you could just bring them back here, and then we could have them all.
Like, right.
And build like this kind of community.
I think something in the beginning of the movie too that we didn't really talk about, but one of the not establishing shots, but in the beginning when they're eating together, it's a big theme in this movie is that they're all eating at the same table. So family obviously is a huge theme in this movie, and they establish that right in the beginning.
Just like Fate of the Furious.
Family.
Firmly.
It is, and it's also like, I think it goes with the whole, I'll get into that later. That's kind of a spoiler. Yeah.
but then when, this whole thing flips and the guy's like, I just have, I have a wife and a son. So obviously this character, Joel Edgerton's character he loves his family. He wants to provide for his family. He's a family man. Just like Nicolas Cage, I
love that movie.
I do too, dude. I cry every time I watch that movie.
That's one of the movies I hold up as like, Nicolas Cage is all right.
Yeah, that and like
He's
Matt
He's just got some tax problems and he's trying to pay some bills. Leave him alone.
But that's
We've all worked jobs we didn't want to do.
He's done a lot though. Yeah,
he's got a lot of tax
problems. Him and Wesley. But yeah, I just think that's because it ties in when he's like, I have a wife and son back there. So obviously that's going to hit Joel Edgerton. He's going to be like, okay.
He's not somebody who's desperate to go out and start helping people.
Exactly.
I think
I
that
also
does
love
tug at something.
when he does untie him, he's like, listen, like no hard feelings. Like I know you were just trying to do what you had to do for your family. I would have done the same thing.
Right.
And like,
Even
I think
when
that's,
they're
and that's a very
loading,
important line as things progress later on in the film.
or even when they're getting like into the truck to go like back and get his family, because they've ultimately decided that he like asked like 2 or 3 times. He's like, "Are we good?
We good? Yeah.
Yeah." And he's like, "Yeah, we're good. Yeah." So I think at that point I want to like. I mean, you can tell that they kind of return with the family from the IMDb description that we said earlier. But I think
probably
this is a
progress to
good.
at least that point.
Okay.
I don't think that's a spoiler.
That's not a spoiler at all.
But on
That's
the way,
synopsis.
on the way, they do run into just out of nowhere. There's a shot fired at their truck, and then another shot fired, I guess, and like it runs them off the road.
I think
and
they hit the tire, and then they hit the
window.
window and break the window.
and it's a very tense scene.
Oh, yeah.
It's very
There's a horrible shot when they're driving in the truck, though, in the rearview mirror. I
kind of like that shot.
It was so out of place to me. The whole movie's got like these like it's either a little bit shaky, a little bit wobbly, and then that shot almost looks digital. And I was like, why does this look like it was like superimposed on the screen?
I mean, they might have had to do something in terms of trying to get a camera to film a
Probably.
rearview mirror.
I
I imagine that's not, that little thin piece of mirror is not very cooperative, because it's not even like a real type of, it's trying to magnify a little bit because it's got to look back way back down the road, and you got stuff in terms of like the way it reacts to light because of being that type of mirror. So I imagine that's a difficult thing to work with. I don't know, I like that. I feel like that's one of the better like rear view mirror shots that I've seen in film, because I've seen ones that look much worse, and this one felt like how it looks when I look in a rear view mirror.
Less
like,
than
I felt like we did have one. Less than 3.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan, but
it's a $5 million budget. We haven't talked about
yeah,
that
that's
either.
true.
$5 million. I mean, $5 million is a whole lot more than 10,000.
Yeah.
But
I came up short on the mic. I didn't look up. I know A24 distributed this, but did they produce as well?
I have no idea.
I'll look it up. You guys continue.
Yeah. So I mean, they get run off the road, Joel Edgerton has like a really great scene where he's kind of bugging out, and like him crawling under the car. I was just
Falling
like,
out the one side.
why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Like it was so, but yeah, he's able to shoot one man, and then he sees Christopher Abbott like wrestling with another man,
The sound was really good in that scene too.
and he is able to kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Christopher Abbott goes, "Why did you kill him?"
Yeah.
And then he goes, Joel Edgerton's like, "Why is he your friend? Like, not 10 miles down the road, and there's somebody shooting at me already." It's like really, again.
I do love that scene though, because there is a very like I think purposeful pause where like Joel Edgerton, Paul is like, "Do you know these guys?" And
yes.
he kind of pauses and he's like, "No, but we could have like got something out of them." And it's like
Yeah.
that can go either way. Like in that moment, he
It's
could be
trippy.
pausing because he's thinking of a lie, or he could be pausing because like, why the fuck did we
fuck?
just
Yeah.
shoot these people? And like it, to
Just
him, it's so
watched you
obvious.
kill
like-
someone.
Right. And that's definitely building towards this family drama once we get everybody in the house. It's like we're all playing a game of kind of like who's next to get infected. And it's like we're also like playing a game of kind of like what's gonna set somebody off, you know, and it's kind of this Joel Edgerton's already this not trusting guy.
Yeah.
It was produced by Animal Kingdom, distributed by A24. I don't know who Animal Kingdom is. I don't know if that's...
That's an Australian company.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they made, wasn't there an Australian
Animal-
indie film called Animal Kingdom?
Yeah, it was really good.
I'm gonna take this call real quick. I think it's
Should we pause?
Hello?
We got a fan calling in.
let's
got
pause
someone
this real
live.
quick. Yeah, we're,
All right, we'll be right back. Hey fam, hope you're enjoying the episode, and please show some love to our sponsor, Spiders Will Eat Your Face, available on Amazon Prime, Instant Watch, and Amazon.com. Spiders Will Eat Your Face is a documentary about the history of pet tarantulas in America. That is Spiders Will Eat Your Face, the movie, on Amazon. Now back to the episode. And we're back.
Kevin and Nick were trying to enter the wrong house. I'm really glad that I stopped the podcast to stop them from avoiding that B&E charge.
Yeah, can you imagine if we were just like, oh, they'll figure it out. They're two big boys.
What are you fellows doing in my house? You fellows!
We're here for the podcast. What is a podcast?
Honey, they're high on drugs. Get my gun.
Yeah, I was gonna say, get my Smith and Wesson.
Are you sick?
Get out.
Let me see his eyes.
Time to the tree for 24 hours.
I think we were talking about the truck scene.
But yeah, I mean, right after that, they do get back into the car, and they are able to successfully bring Christopher Abbott. I don't fucking know his character's name, but I'm not going to refer to it as that.
His character's Will, I
Okay,
think.
Will. That actually sounds comfortable.
Yeah. Because it's right.
They bring Will's family
What does that mean?
back to
Feels good.
their humble abode,
Yep.
and I think that's where I want to call
I think
spoilers.
it's a good spoiler
Yeah.
part.
I mean, you get the whole like monologue about like these are the rules of the house, and you see it in the trailer. It's like it's really just like they really set up the red door. It's kind of like kind of cliche, but it's like it's also I don't know. It's like this. We'll get into it.
They do it really well in that scene because in the trailer they do kind of make it seem like that cliche, like here's
Whatever
what
you
don't
do.
here's what you do. But in this, he's kind of more laid back, like, well, just a few things.
Yeah, because he's also like, and we eat together.
Yeah.
It's just a thing that we do that I think is important. I don't know.
It's
It is,
more
yeah.
awkward. He's more
Yeah.
like, welcome to my house.
Yeah, but I'm gonna lay down some spoiler warnings.
Yeah.
So
Hard spoiler warning from here
if-
on out.
this interests you, go out and see the movie. I recommend it. And yeah,
And if you haven't seen the trailer, don't watch the trailer before watching the movie.
Misleading.
yeah,
We'll get into that.
yeah. I definitely want to talk about that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So now we're in spoilers, and I feel like we can just kind of talk a little more openly about this movie. We don't have to go plot point to plot point, really. But I do like this kind of what we are just talking about, where he's kind of just casually giving them the rules. again, yeah, it wasn't handled that well in the trailer. I feel like it's kind of like, whatever you do, don't open that red door. The red door's open.
Literally in the trailer, it's like zooming in on like
Son
the
of
red
a
door, and then they only take the one line where he's like, "We don't go out at night."
Yeah.
you know?
Always stay in pairs.
Yeah, always stay in pairs and stuff like that.
It's
And, like,
weird audio clips too. It's,
The trailer. Now that we're in spoiler territory, I can talk freely about. The trailer is great in terms of getting asses
People
in the
there.
seats.
Yeah.
It's a great cut trailer in terms of generating
Marketing.
interest, and I don't really know how I would cut a trailer for what the movie actually is.
it'd just be really
Very
long,
different.
Because now that we're in
drawn
spoiler
out
territory,
shots.
there really is no monster to this movie.
There's no,
No.
yeah.
I had that sort of spoiled for me. I was reading the Rotten Tomatoes and doing the notes for this.
Oh, you had it spoiled?
Well, just in terms of the fact that I didn't know, I knew we weren't going to see anything. And the Rotten Tomatoes, what does it say? The Rotten Tomatoes summary says, "It Comes at Night makes lethally effective use of its bare bones trappings while proving once again that what's left unseen can be just as horrifying as anything on the screen." So I knew we weren't going to
That
see
sounds
any
kind of,
monster coming out of the dark.
And they
entire
like to
time,
use
and-
the grandpa dream as kind of that
all
could be a
all the
monster.
scary
Right.
stuff happens in dreams,
And
in this
also
movie.
in the trailer.
in the trailer.
Yeah.
I wasn't
It's
also
misleading.
the dream this now that we're just kind of talking openly about this film is and again, we don't even have to talk this out through oh, and then this person kills this person. I kind of just want to talk openly now about this film, just because if you're
you're
still
listening this far,
if you're
you've
still
heard it.
listening, you've already seen it. But I mean, yeah, just like Mike said, it comes at night. It is grief. Obviously.
Oh, I interpreted it as doubt
Oh, really?
and mistrust, and
Okay.
I just thought it was Will.
My
he came at night
he did.
That's all I thought.
in many ways.
I was like, is it just Will?
He had sex one time, and Travis listened
It was weird.
at night.
So you're saying
mean-
doubt? You're saying
I'm
or
saying-
you're saying doubt.
I'm
You're
saying I'm saying
grief.
grief because I think the grandfather dying in the beginning and is kind of like Trey's dad dying, and then everything that happens after that. It's like this allegorical or metaphorical kind of tale of grief, kind of, and it's kind of like this is everything that happens to you. You're always kind of on edge, and all these things are happening, and it's very. It's just a strange. I think it is grief.
I thought it
No,
was
I don't think
fear.
I don't think you're wrong. I interpret it more as doubt in terms of because I think the fact that the grid has gone down is a very important part of this plot in terms of if you don't know what's going on out there, you can create these monsters in your mind. The trailer is not absolutely misleading because the people in this film do believe there is sort of something out there and they don't know what it is. And when you don't know what it is, you can create monsters out of the dark and out of people that you don't know that well and strangers and all that. And
Yeah.
that's why they're so willing to believe that something killed that dog, or there's something bigger at play here, because there's this lack of knowledge because the grid's gone down and they don't know
I
what's
thought it
really
was
going
just
on.
fear. That was my interpretation of
Yeah,
it, which
fear-
I
fear and
think
doubt
fear
and-
would be kind of encompassing of both of those things.
I now that we're really in the
Since
throes
I
of
said
it.
the right thing there.
Yeah.
Fear.
Connor wins that round.
So just remember, the it in this movie is fear. Hashtag quote Connor James Burns.
I wish It Comes at Night kind of had a more original premise. This is where I'm going to get into my complaints. I can accept that Krisha was... A thing that I didn't say about Krisha is Krisha, and I only mean this as the highest compliment, it's a student film done exceptionally well.
A+.
Yeah.
It's a masterclass student film is what Krisha is. It's kind of
Yeah.
well, my mom's the main actor, and it's kind
a
of
student film from the teacher's pet.
Yes, it's exceptionally done. But this one, I mean, we're bumping it up from fucking $10,000 to
Yeah.
$5 million, and I can accept Krisha for the premise due to lack of resources, but a fucking cabin in the woods,
Yeah.
that's so cliche for horror movies. And then I think it really doubles down on cliche when it's kind of we're in a post-apocalyptic and there's an airborne virus. I was
Okay.
They don't know that it's airborne. They're just wearing everything out of caution.
Yeah, they don't know what.
because they're still wearing stuff on like their
it's
skin
still
and
it's
everything.
still like a virus.
It's a virus,
It's still
yeah.
like it's so this premise is so cliche. I think it annoyed me because Krisha is so creative and it's able to use what he doesn't have as kind of he twist it.
I feel like it may have been a cliche premise, like yes,
Mm-hmm.
like a sickness wipes out the grid, and like everyone's got to live in like cabins in the woods.
This
and
still
get
sounds
by on
like
that.
a fucking college student film, you know?
Sounds like
But
the
I feel
premise
like
of
this
one.
is like the way that I've always wanted to see that storyline played out. Because
That's
I feel
what
like
I would
it's
say.
approached from realism. You and I had talked about this, that it kind of feels like watching
guys.
sorry, you weren't there.
Bring up past conversations. It's fine. I don't feel awkward.
It felt like a Jeremy Saulnier film in terms of like the
Oh.
realism, like of like Green Room and Blue Ruin, where it was like what would real characters do in this situation, and kind of build the film
And
around.
we
that.
That's what
talked
was
about
good.
how this is kind of the green room of Trey's career, and Krisha is kind of the blue ruin of Trey's career. Yeah, and like Krisha is the blue ruin of Trey's career.
It ruined his career.
Yeah.
Bluely.
Nailed it. Yeah, I think the concept is cliche, but I agree with Mike. It's done in such an original way.
Oh, definitely.
Because most of those like virus movies, again, you see those like post-apocalyptic shots of like burning buildings and
Yeah.
all this stuff. This movie, they don't explain almost anything about this virus other than
Because the characters don't
That's
know.
Yeah,
also
'cause they
student
don't know.
film-esque, you know? Like, I know it's a very contained... I mean, I don't think this is a horror movie at all.
Not at all.
I think this is a...
I was gonna ask.
I think this is a family drama that's formatted like a play.
No, and he,
Like,
he,
even
he
down
has said
to,
that
like,
too.
the-
So I
yeah.
almost had it spoiled for me in knowing that there wasn't going to be.
It's not a horror movie, yeah.
Because he had said like it's like a tribal movie in terms of there's two tribes trying to exist inside the
Mm-hmm.
same house, and that's really what the plot is. So I wasn't really looking for anything other than the conflict between these two families trying to coexist.
Other thing I didn't like is the... Like, again, it feels like such a more simplistic movie than Krisha when I think it could be a little more complex. Kevin just farted.
I hope that got picked up.
There we go.
But it does. I mean, it feels like a student screenplay where it's kind of like every time he has a dream, it's kind of like dissolve, fade to black, kind of. And I liked that as like this kind of, you know, like this is not reality anymore. But like I wish it was like a little more creative than
My
like
biggest
fade to black.
problem with this movie is that one, it was marketed as a horror movie, and I
Let's
went
get
into
that
it
too, yeah.
thinking it was a horror movie. And I was really excited when you texted me and you were like, "This is the movie you're reviewing." I was like, "Fuck yeah!" Sierra was sitting there. I was like,
But
"Yeah,
you also
fuck
you
yeah,
have to
strip
you have to
naked."
look at that in
And I
terms of
just
like
was yes.
you have to look like I don't think Trey cut these trailers.
No,
It's
yeah,
probably
I don't-
A24
obviously.
I don't
Yeah, yeah,
blame
A24 with
him at
their-
all.
and
Nobody, yeah,
they're
nobody-
trying to get as many people in the seats as possible. They're still kind of an up and
Which
coming company.
that's also like, what do you do?
How do you cut a
with-
trailer for the type of
what-
movie that this
no,
is?
Not even that. Let's go even further back. What do you do with somebody like Trey? You're
Oh.
like Krisha is like a phenomenal film, and we want to bring in. You know, A24 extended their hand and they said, you know, we'll distribute this or whatever they did with Krisha. But then they're like, all right, what do you want to do next? And he's like, you know, like a family drama that's like in the woods, kind of like in a cabin. And they're like,
there's some
and he's
sicknesses.
like, my dad just died. And they're kind of like, okay, we can spin this.
Okay, we're gonna make it a
what
horror
if it's a
movie?
horror movie? Kind of like they're trying to, you know, it's kind of like that's why I feel like so often we see with like these gigantic franchises where it's kind of like, all right, well, this kid directed fucking like 500 Days of Summer. It's a small indie film kind of thing. Like, let's put him in a Spider-Man, you know? Like, we have this, like, IP, like, ready for him, like, locked and loaded to go, because, like, his next film is about, like, guy meets girl, kind of like, no, that's not gonna put people in seats. Spider-Man, kind of. And this is the example of, like, what happens when you essentially, like, buy, like, an indie filmmaker, and then you let him do what he wants, kind of. And then you kind of also have to market it so you don't lose $5 million. And I think that's, like, what happened here.
It's definitely a tricky
I
situation.
think the film that we got is still sort of a logical progression from Krisha in terms of he's a master of family drama, tension, and almost horror out of like a family situation.
Right.
So this didn't feel like a very far jump. The only thing that feels different is it doesn't feel like a mumblecore film anymore. It definitely feels like a studio film.
Oh, definitely. Right.
It's still indie to some degree, but it doesn't feel like something made on $15,000 anymore.
It doesn't feel like there was a short before this movie.
Yeah.
That it was based off of.
Yes,
It
yeah.
feels like it's an original concept. And
But let's keep this going. I'd love to know what you guys
Well,
don't
my
like about
only
this
point
movie.
is
Okay,
just to
go
say
on.
that as much as I don't like the trailers for this, I don't think that should be held against the film because I don't think that was the filmmakers doing. I think that's the distribution
but
company being like.
Here's the only. I'm sorry. I'm gonna cut. This is like my only other big point.
No.
Is that there? There is. I was reading. I was kind of half reading. I was skimming. I got the idea
the headline.
of the article that it was kind of like A24 is in fucking trouble because it's twice now with The Witch and with this where people are like, that wasn't a fucking horror movie, you know? Like, it's kind of this very untraditional horror movie in today's age, and it was just kind of like, literally in my theater, there was like a guy like a few seats over. I mean, I saw it like during the day, so it comes at day. It probably didn't have as much of an effect.
I saw it
But,
in the
like,
middle of the day, too.
Yeah, but like literally when it ended, the guy was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And it's like he seemed so into it at the beginning, and at the end he was just like, you could just see like he was mad, like he was
Yeah.
like, "Come on,
the
dude."
trailer makes it seem like there's something bigger out there, and it's so
Yes.
cool that we can't show you.
The
in
movie
the
makes it
trailer.
seem
So
like
you're,
that,
you're,
though.
You're
Dude,
waiting for
What about
this.
the dog scene? Like
Can
where
we
the
just-
dog runs after
It's the
an
opposite.
invisible
It
force out
does,
there?
but I think that's intentional. And I think if you hadn't been as misled by the trailer,
Also, why is Travis
There's a
drawing like
huge-
Slender Man? Like
that's my main. That's
I
my
hate
only,
that
That's my
scene!
only
There's-
real complaint with this
I
movie
hate that scene
because it's the only time I think it steps into actual horror movie cliche.
Dude,
That's
what
a
a,
red herring like a
actual
motherfucker.
plot
Yeah.
premise-
we're going to
premise.
have to talk about a huge plot point at some point that is just a plot hole, in my opinion.
What
and
is it?
maybe you
Yeah.
guys can clear it up. The whole dog scene where it runs off, and then
Okay.
later on it comes back.
Also, who let... Okay, go.
Who let the fucking door open?
No idea.
They say the kid,
that's
but he's too
intentional, though.
short.
It's intentional.
Okay.
And then, how'd the dog get inside the house?
Is there a door between?
There's
We can
it's
get into this.
closed.
I have
yeah,
theories
that's
on
why.
this.
Okay,
Alright.
that's why I want to
it come.
know because
Well,
come
this
at
has
my
to bring
night.
into. I think this is my favorite script of the year.
Whoa.
Go on.
I think it's really well established in terms of I don't think there's any line or any scene or even any shot in this movie
not
that is
intentional.
not without intention. And I think a lot of the dialogue in terms of once you get to the end of the movie, I started to I was just kind of following this movie for the ride, and then it ended, and then I had to think about it, and then I was like, well, what does the title mean? And then I came to my conclusion that I think it's about doubt and fear. Yes, you are correct.
Fear.
But I think when you approach when you look back at the script through that lens, the entire movie, if it's just a family drama, is kind of about this doubt around Will and his family.
Yeah.
And I think the movie does a really good job of always providing where, even in the end, I still am not sure who opened the door
Right.
and whether Will was a good person or someone just trying to help his family out. I think they provide, in every instance, there's two ways, there's a fork in the road
Yep.
that the plot could really go. Like you start with like that one line that I pointed out earlier where Will says like, I don't hold any hard feelings. I would do the same thing for my family.
Right.
It's already establishing his character as someone who like, I would fucking kill for my
I'll do
family. I
anything.
would deceive people for my
Yep.
family. I
Right,
would
right,
do
right.
anything for my family.
Which places a seed
Because
of
you
he's
can't-
like a
you
mirror
are
of
doubt.
the
Of Paul, yes. So you can't trust Will from that point out,
Right.
Even though in that, which is also the beauty of it,
It's
is that
also
in
what
that
brings them
line,
together.
It's
Right,
like, oh
yeah.
yeah, I understand that, but at the
Yes.
same time, it's like you can't because he's saying I
Right.
would do anything for my family.
Right, exactly.
I thought the other part that was really nicely done and just kind of thrown out there is when the wife is like, "Did you ask him about the smoke?"
Yeah.
And he never does ask him about that. So in our minds, we're kind of like, that question is not answered. Will could have found the house by seeing the smoke go up in the air.
Yeah.
Especially the proximity in time of how closely he comes to the house.
So,
after that.
I mean, I'm on the edge of my seat. So, are you implying
I know, I'm
that
waiting right now.
the little boy does sleepwalk and open the door?
I think it could be either.
So you're saying there's no answer. It's up to you, as the viewer.
I honestly don't even think like the little boy could open it. Like they bring up a point where he's like too
short.
small, and
But it's
like
his family that's defending him.
that's such a task, and that's such a stretch.
Regardless of if he can open the door or
But
not, how's the dog get it?
I'll get to that later. I do think there is another
Okay.
explanation. Even if he doesn't open the door,
Okay.
he could still go out and whatnot and be infected. So then the other point I brought up when he pauses about, do you know these men? That's another point where it's like it could go either way.
Right.
And then the biggest one, the most obvious one,
Yes.
which was really great, is when he's interrogating him and
Genius
he's like,
scene. Yeah.
he's like,
That
talking
scene
about his
sticks
brother,
with me the most. Yeah.
my brother, blah blah blah.
We stayed at my
brother's
brother's
house,
Yeah.
and he's dead now. And then when they're drinking and they're like kind of bonding over like the whiskey that he's been
Talking
saving.
about family. This is the only
Family.
And then he's asking him, he's like, so you're an only child, and he's like, yeah, and he's like, huh, because I thought you said you had like a brother.
You're staying with your brother. Yeah.
That's also the only
But
time
it's also
in
a
the
scene
movie.
where like I can also understand where like if someone had me tied to a tree with a gun in my face, I might misspeak about whether someone's my
Yes,
brother or my
exactly.
brother-in-law. I might forget to say those specifics in a tense situation like that. But it can go. That's the thing, is it can go either way.
Yeah.
And depending on which way you're approaching this, and which kind of bias you have, what kind of person you have, you can go either way in a scene.
Yeah,
like
and I hate people, so I assumed that person was just trash, and I would have shot him on the spot. I thought you said you were an only child, and you have a brother.
And then I think,
Pow!
And it does, that film ignites something, like, it's genius filmmaking because it's trying to ignite something in you. Like, you want, the audience wants to yell at the screen and be like, fucking,
Do you hear what you just
like,
said?
like,
Yeah.
you hurt him, or
well, you can
keep,
tell
keep
Paul
kind of following
Paul
this.
does hear it too, because he's like, oh, yeah, I think we should go to bed now.
Right, but still, there's still something where you're like, no, like, let's not go to sleep angry, like, let's figure this out, kind of, and it's kind of like a little infuriating, but I mean, I guess, yeah, Paul also knows what he's doing, kind of, yeah.
So-
and again, it would be messy,
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's such like a weird lie that it's kind of like, that's not going to hurt my family. Like, maybe you just, I don't know.
Yeah.
You were staying with somebody,
just-
I don't know, and
That's why.
it's
That's why
easier
I say
just to
it's
be
doubt, is because I think the entire movie is just any.
But I think
any
Travis
misstep,
is-
he starts to doubt this guy, and he could be completely fine.
But I think Travis is Trey,
in what way?
just that he's observing everything, and he's never really,
Oh yeah, he's the one that has the
he's-
benefit of. Or
He's
not-
up in the attic.
He's giving people the
and
benefit of the
he's
doubt.
up in the attic, and he's the filmmaker. He's listening to everything. He's gathering all these clues, kind of.
He's creepy as fuck.
He is. And I'm glad there's some sort of like sexuality in It Comes at Night. It's only natural that like a teenager like Travis would fantasize about like the first other
That was my
female.
first thought when like they established the situation, is like his parents still have each other. He not only has no one there, there's no hope of anyone in the future. Like they
Right.
don't expect to ever see anybody again.
He
So
ain't
what does
never
that do to
getting
someone?
laid.
What does that do to
Yeah.
someone as like a 17-year-old boy, like at the peak of your like libido and
He
sexuality?
literally doesn't even have porn.
But no, and
he's off
I mean
the grid.
that's why I like that he's able to overhear Will and Kim's sort of most not even like fucking, but like their most intimate
scene,
moments.
The scene where he
of,
laughs
like,
at the
yes.
joke that they tell each other.
Oh
is
yeah, that's a
fucking
great
brilliant.
scene. I like that scene.
But part of me wishes that it was even like something I really loved about Krisha was like the scenes with like all like the younger cousins and their girlfriends or wives like having these like really like explicit conversations about like their sex lives
Yeah.
in like clear earshot of like Krisha, like their aunt, and it captures something that's like really like real and cringy, like cringe-worthy kind of like that I think like a lot of older filmmakers would never even like think of. Like, like it's like you have to be that age to kind of like recognize that there was a time where you would just kind of be like talking inappropriately with a girl with family within earshot just because you're just so oblivious to everything else. And I kind of like wish there was like a little more of like weird like cabin in the woods like incestuous feel to this, like something like the
Don't
witch.
we all?
Something like the witch, where it was kind of like, oh, my older sister has like boobs now, like let me like,
Yeah.
you know.
I was waiting for a confrontation between Will and Travis. Just
Oh, yeah,
where
yeah.
I was
Will's
too.
Like, that's my fucking wife.
Yeah.
I just to say what my biggest complaint was with this movie is that I think there's tension in this movie, but I never felt tense watching it. I never felt scared watching it, not once. Or I shouldn't say not once, maybe during the dream sequences. But my problem is that there's this small little gap of tension, and then it drops off and it goes away. And you never get those answers. And I know that's what a lot of people liked about this movie. And that was my biggest problem, was there weren't
What are
answers.
the answers you didn't get?
Well, one, they don't give you a lot about the first
door
the
and
door.
everything, yeah.
Then even the brother thing, that,
Right.
you know, we never hear about that again. It kind of just hops right into that ending
Right.
after that.
But I think that is also intentional, because I think also the scene where they kill the two people is intentionally placed, because he has the line of like, we could have got more out of them, and then in this final scene he kills everybody in the end, and they don't get any answers about, were you guys like trying to fuck us over? What do you know? Like,
One of my favorite scenes is when he's like interrogating Christopher Abbott, and he's like he says like he's asking him all these personal questions, but even before he gets to the bottom of like, who is this guy, he's like, what do you know that's going on like out there?
Yeah.
What do you know about, like, I thought that's like
I also love how, like,
but before he fucking like blows his brains out with the hunting rifle or whatever, I feel like Christopher Abbott also had that feeling of like, yeah, I would have fucking liked to know like what's going on out there too.
Yeah.
I would have liked to know like what, you know, yeah. So I thought that's
I
what
also love in
was
that
about.
interrogation scene how like Christopher Abbott answers him, and then he's like, make me believe you.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Like, what?
I'll say the same thing
Yeah.
again, I guess, with like
George, just
hard
repeat
eyes.
I'm tearing up a little bit.
I think the other scene that's really tense in the end, and I know why people don't like this movie.
Yeah.
Because it does not deliver on what is promised in the trailer. But if you completely ignore the trailer and just accept the movie for what it is, the climax is fucking great in this movie. When
Oh, I love the climaxes.
so they have the whole scene where like the door's been left open and the families kind of separate to determine, you know, what to do next. And then Travis hears the kid coughing and whatnot, and then they go down in the morning, and the scene where he's like knocking on the door being like, hey Will, like, just let me in there, man. Like, I feel much better if I could like check it out. Like, he's still trying to be like nice and relate, even though in his mind he's
Such a
probably
nice
thinking
guy.
like, we're probably gonna have to kill these people.
Right.
But I think that's going back to my points about how this script gives you so many opportunities to go left or right based on which way you're approaching it from. Like, Will is like really nervous in that scene, and like noticeably nervous just in his audio through the door, where he's like, yeah, now's not a good time right now, Paul.
Right.
You know, maybe
he
like
just
later
got
you
caught jerking off.
yeah, like, so like that could be like two things. It could be the kid is
No,
sick.
Dad.
It could be the kid is sick in the room and he doesn't want Paul to see, you know, his black eyes, and that he's starting to get lesions and stuff like that. So he's trying to just keep Paul out of the room. Or it could be that he thinks that the rest of the family is infected because Travis is the one that opened the door.
Right.
So he's trying to protect his family from them
Right.
coming in
Yeah,
there. So like
yeah.
that can go either way. And then they come in, and then he has the whole scene where he's like, take off your mask, nobody's sick here. And I think that can go either
Yeah.
way, because it's like either he's telling the truth and nobody is sick here, and he's kind of like, you know, take that you know, don't insult me by saying that we're the sick ones, or the kid is sick, and at this point he's kind of just like, fuck you, like, I don't care if you get sick or not because of the way you're treating us right now. So
Right.
take your mask off, and we're willing to infect you at this point. That was how I thought about that. And then I think in terms of the ending with the door, it doesn't answer it, but I think it provides two conclusions, where I think the fact that there are so many dreams in this movie is very intentional, because all of the dreams involve Travis going through that red door and going out into the night.
Yeah.
And then he has the one line talking about Andrew, but he says, does he sleepwalk? And I think for me, that's intentional, where he's trying to direct the audience to think like, maybe Travis is sleepwalking because he has dreams every fucking
definitely,
night about going
definitely.
out through that door.
Yeah.
Travis could have opened the door, gone out in his sleepwalk, come back, and then, you know, Andrew still could have slept somewhere else, and Travis is the one that opened the door, but maybe Andrew is sick somewhere. It could be Andrew or Travis could be sick, but Travis could be the one that opened the door.
But let's get into fingers.
Oh, sorry.
No. I just think that's like a great like point to like leave off on like our final opinions.
Yeah.
But also what Mike said sucks.
Yeah.
Let's get to fingers.
He's an idiot.
Also, have you guys seen this guy, Mike? Fuck that guy.
What a stupid face.
Jeez.
Oh, his face is
Does
so
he
dumb.
ever shut up about the movie we're talking
Seriously.
about?
What is this podcast about?
What is he doing? Reviewing the movie?
Is he analyzing this movie? What a goof.
Did he plan for this? I just showed up. I didn't even watch it.
Do you have a page full of notes about this movie?
The heck?
He's reading
Wait, does
from?
he have thoughts about this movie?
Stupid.
But yeah, Mike, do you have a score? Mike, yeah, but Mike, shut up. Mike, do you want to talk a little more about the movie? And
I think I'm going to give it a 4.5 because I have very few complaints with this
Dang,
movie.
son.
I've tried to. I do have the same complaint about the trailer, but I'm trying to separate that from the movie. And it's easier because I enjoyed the movie that I got.
I'd like to
almost
know-
more than if they had given us what the trailer was promising.
I'd like to know what is the half finger that's missing? What's the?
I think it's the fact that it delivers very few. There's a lot of tension, but it delivers very few scares that aren't in dreams.
Yep.
I almost wish this was more scary.
Yeah.
I do. I like that. I like the movie I got, but I was promised a horror movie, and there's not
So that
as many
is that
scares.
part of that trailer, though, that's still seeping into
In the
you.
marketing as a
Yeah.
whole, I mean,
Yeah.
and it is it's literally called a
feel
horror
like
movie. It's
Trey
saying
himself
Trader
said-
Schultz
yeah.
is directing a horror movie for his next one. So
Right,
even
yeah.
before they cut a trailer, they were
Yeah.
that was his intention to write a horror movie. It's just not actually a horror movie. It is a very tense, almost like domestic drama.
Psychological thriller almost, too.
So, but I think I really like the cinematography in this. I know it's not as pushing the envelope as Krisha did, but I think it still serves the story of this very well. I think the soundtrack is great, and again, it's not pushing the envelope as much as Krisha did,
Yeah.
where it's not like pots banging around as a soundtrack. It's more traditional, but I think it still really works. It's really working in tandem with the cinematography, I felt, where you have like these slow pulls on like the orchestra and the violin as like we're either zooming in or pulling out of shots a lot of the time that work really well. And I really like that relationship between the title and the story, where once I watch the movie and I look at the title, I can go back and like I'm still picking out parts where I'm like, what did this mean and which direction is this pointing me in? And I like the fact that it doesn't come to a conclusion at the end, because I think that's what the entire movie is about, is when the grid falls down and when we stop trusting other people innately, then you create monsters out of strangers, you create monsters out of the darkness and the night, and you know, anything could be out there because you don't know what's out there.
Right.
And I think that's what the entire movie is about as a whole. And I like I really like the fact that it like bookends itself with that like kind of close-up face shot. It starts with the grandfather, but then it ends with Travis.
Yeah.
I like a little bit less, but I understand it. The fact that it doesn't exactly end on that shot. It goes to like the shot of the
table.
two at the table. And
We're
I think
sick now.
yeah, I think the mother looks sick. I don't think Paul
know.
looks
They-
sick,
they-
but I don't think it
yeah,
but
matters because I
regardless,
think if
They didn't do that well enough,
No.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
well, I don't think he had, because I think even if he's not sick, I think he kills himself. Even if the two
They're
of them
both
die.
sick. They're both sick.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
100%.
Somebody like took a picture of it, and you can like zoom in and see like it's smaller. Like yeah,
Okay.
It's just
I almost
just
would like it better if he wasn't sick, and if he just the implication was that he was going to kill himself,
Right.
if the two of them died, because his entire motivation in this film is just to protect my family, do everything for my family.
And history.
It's also like they kill an entire family for no reason
know.
because they're sick. At
Yeah,
the
and he's got a lot
and,
of
yeah,
grief
yeah,
about that.
and that's
Grief.
So I don't know. I thought this. I was very. I felt the tension throughout all of this. It felt very real in a way that I liked. So yeah, I'll go with 4.5 fingers. Very few complaints. That drawing is the chief among them. It's just so cliche and unnecessary,
what?
especially because it ends up being a movie about there not being a monster in reality. And they also, like, even if it wasn't going to be that, they should have at least explained, like, what are these things you're drawing?
yeah.
Like, his dad sees the picture, it doesn't
Yeah.
say anything.
I'm definitely
It
gonna
felt
put-
like it felt like the studio being like, every horror movie needs like
Make it creepy.
needs a creepy kid drawing stuff.
Add that
Like,
Babadook looking fucker, and we'll be good.
so 4.5 fingers for me.
All right. Do you want to go or shall I?
con dog, corn dog,
That's what they call me. Or Condor.
con man.
I have a wingspan.
Makes you
That's
sound like a
just
felon.
Con Air.
sexual.
Con Air.
Con
To bring
Air.
it back to movies.
Old Nicholas
Look at him
Cage
go, Con Air.
reference.
He's taken off.
Yeah, I only use Con Air brushes because that's how I do it. Yeah, so I went into this movie really, really excited, and I was a little bit let down, probably because I let the marketing.
I
Because
just
I
talked to
didn't really
Sierra
know-
before I left, and she's like, yeah, I went to go see it with Connor. That was a really bad movie.
Yeah,
and I was like,
she
I'm very interested in what Connor has to
She
say.
hated it, and I was kind of right down the middle, because there's a lot of things in this movie that I love. Being the cinematography, I really liked, except for that one scene that I said I wasn't a fan of. And Mike's an idiot for liking it. It's the first time I've actually met him in person, I think. So
It's a bold statement.
I'm a dick. And then you got, the sound in this movie I loved, which is a thing that Sierra did not like in this movie. And I thought
Same complaints as Krisha she had, or
well, she didn't actually watch
What's
Grisha.
with this
That was
girl?
just I know.
You're gonna marry her, bro?
She's got ears like a jungle cat. Let me tell you, she can hear you from like at least 3 feet away. Yeah. Oh, Connor is here. He's been here all day.
Those
and
jokes
he's
are
right
in the
next
same
to
room.
me.
I can hear him.
He's right next to me. Oh, how'd you know that, babe? Because I'm standing here. Getting married this Saturday. So acting.
Like it's an open invite.
Tickets on sale now.
Shout out!
Come on, come on, Connor, Sierra, getting married, wedding of the century.
Only pay for half because you only need the edge.
2 enter, 1 soul leaves.
You like Gravedigger versus Bigfoot, but now Connor versus Sierra.
That is how we marketed our wedding.
If there aren't monster trucks, I'll be disappointed.
Well, you're not invited. I don't know you.
Who is this?
I think his name's Kevin.
Fuck yeah.
So yeah, acting, cinematography, sound, I loved all of those. My problems were with the story. I don't like watching a movie and not really knowing anything about it. And for me, I got really lost in it and kind of it was, again, the Krisha kind of complaint that I had was that it was too real for me. And this one felt a little too real. And going into it, I think I'd like to watch it again with the mindset of this isn't a horror, this is more a family drama.
Yeah.
And I think I'd probably like it a lot better. But I think it's, you know what it is? It's the opposite of The Village.
That's what I was thinking.
It's similar in many
Or,
ways.
yeah,
yes.
like The Village was marketed as like this monster movie again. Or not the opposite, yeah, the same. Is that it was marketed as like this monster movie. In the end, you find out there's no monster. It's just like,
Well, it's like the
Crazy people.
Village is marketed that way, but then there's a twist, whereas there's no
Yeah.
twist in this. It's just life is what
exactly.
it is.
Straight up, yeah.
And I think that was part of my my complaint with it. So I am landing on a solid 3.
I don't have a lot to say about this film. I've really, I was talking over everybody the entire time, so I got all my opinions out.
It's okay.
I think there are a lot of horror movie trope red herrings, and I just want to revisit this one more time. I fucking hated that scene where Paul came to, like, apologize to, like, Travis, and I think it's, like, a really key emotional scene, and then Travis
He
was...
just shouldn't have been drawing.
Yeah, he was sitting there being teen angsty.
He doesn't draw in the any
know.
other moment in the movie.
He was being teen angsty, which I like. That's his character. But he's fucking furiously possessive.
but he's not even teen angsty because he's
driving.
drawing, and then Paul leaves, and he's like, "Thanks, Dad."
Yeah, that was the part
He
I really
was
didn't
being
like.
angsty at some point,
Thanks,
though, where he
Paps.
was just fucking ignoring him, kind of. But he looked like he was fucking possessed, drawing like Enderman in the woods. And this is not Enderman, that's Minecraft Slenderman.
Just like a 3-year-old man just
I gotta kill him with the bow!
Minecraft.
He teleports! He's looking at me! Dad, don't put your cursor over him! Deep cut for the Minecraft fans out there. And this happens right after they chase the dog out to the place in the woods where there's nothing there, and the
Yeah.
dog's barking, and then he's drawing something in the woods, And I almost expected the dad to be like, what did you know that I don't know? Like, kind of like, it's like so weird. Or like to be like creeped out, but instead he's just kind of like, well, Travis, he draws. Like, and no, we don't know that about
He draws
Travis.
men in suits with sunglasses or whatever
Travis
it was.
doesn't do that. He masturbates in the attic. Like, that's what Travis does. Like,
You don't even know your boy.
But yeah. So it did. I mean, Krisha is so good that I expected more of this film. So I think I'm gonna give it 3.5 fingers.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. Get Out is still the best horror movie I've seen this year.
Amen.
Again, this isn't a horror movie. This is a family drama movie.
Which technically Get Out is a
But
family drama
it's still
too.
it's still in like the top 5 movies that I've seen this year. This movie, but I've seen a ton of shitty movies this year, baby. Welcome to How Many Fingers.
So that'll come to 3.667 repeating, which will round down to 3.5 fingers for the podcast. I think the thing we didn't talk about is just the
Critical.
numerically the critical score. On Rotten Tomatoes, it's got an 86% from critics, an 88% from top critics, but then a 44% for audiences, which I think just tells you everything you need to know.
Yes,
that it's, if you're able to approach this film from like a mindset of like, I don't care about the trailer, I'll accept what's given to me. But if you come to it being like the trailer is, canon and everything that's in the trailer needs to be in the movie, you're going to be disappointed.
See, you said if you didn't like The Witch, you'll like this. I said. Oh, okay.
If you didn't like The Witch, you wouldn't like this.
I think if you don't like The Witch, you're gonna fucking hate this because it's not.
The Witch has like that awesome like climax at the end where
It's supernatural.
It does get
Uh-huh,
supernatural. Whereas this like never rises.
It's
to that.
just the beginning of The Witch.
Yeah, for 2 hours.
I haven't watched The Witch, so thanks for spoiling that for me, guys.
Spoiler: there's a witch.
There's a witch.
Yeah, you guys are dicks. I don't like this podcast anymore.
Just lost a fan,
Don't go to their live show.
but we gained a best guest.
Spoiler alert: it doesn't come at night.
But Will does.
Yes. So if you agree or disagree, we would love to hear from you guys on Twitter, SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you want to get in contact with us, wherever you're listening to this episode. So hit us up with your thoughts, your ratings, your reviews. We'd love to continue the conversation after this airs. And yeah, I think let's run into some last plugs. Did you remember your Letterboxd?
Oh no,
No.
it's
Connor
okay,
has a
guys.
Letterboxd.
I'm at Twitter at Biggie C.
There we go.
Because I loved Biggie Smalls for a while, and I still do.
Big C.
At Biggie C, created that Twitter when I was 15. I lost the login, so you can tweet me. I won't get them.
But the public will know.
But the
that you're
public
talking
will
to
know.
Connor.
Connor's so confusing because Connor was following us and we thought it was Nick's cousin Connor too. And we're like, who is this? Like, there's 2 Connors on Letterboxd now. Who are these
I
people?
still get confused because you both just have Connor with no profile
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah.
So I'm like, someone thought this about a movie.
I'm gonna be honest, guys. I don't know how to put up a profile picture on Letterboxd.
You
I've
have
tried
to
a couple
connect
times.
it to your Twitter. It's fucking
Oh
convoluted.
well, I lost that login, so I'm fucked. That login's gone.
Connor's Letterboxd name is THR degree BRNS.
Third degree burns.
3rd degree burns, baby. That
It's
makes
a
sense.
clever one.
Yes. Okay.
Third degree burns.
THR
What's up? Chill.
BRNS. That was weird.
Do you ever
and
think rap stars
kind
just
of
have...
offensive? Let's get out of here. Get me out of here, Mike.
Check us out at the Philadelphia
Where's my chute?
Podcast Festival.
Pull it.
July 16th
Yes.
at 4 p.m. at Tattooed Mom in Philadelphia. She'll be there smoking cigarettes in the back, topless.
Ooh.
Is she topless in your guys' imaginations, or is that just me?
That's just me.
That's just.
I just imagine her topless with tattoos everywhere.
She's wearing like a thin tube top in my imagination. So I'm like,
It's not leaving much
Like
to
a
the
spaghetti
imagination.
strap.
She's been breastfeeding.
Major SAG.
That is.
She's a mom.
Major Screen Actors
Moms
Guild
can be beautiful
Yes.
too.
member.
I just want to put that out there.
Everything else you can find on howmanyfingerspodcast.com. You can find an iTunes link where you can go subscribe to us and then leave us a rating or a review on iTunes. We'd really appreciate that. You can subscribe to our mailing list on MailChimp. There's a link there. You'll get emails every time we post an episode or when we get accepted to podcast festivals and major podcast announcements like that. Excuse me. You can subscribe to our YouTube. We would certainly love more subscriptions there. Then we can get our official How Many Fingers podcast YouTube link.
That'd be awesome.
For now, it's just a jumble of characters. So please subscribe to us on YouTube. And merch, as always, if you can see, it's camo, so you probably can't see.
Look at Conair's shirt too.
Conair.
You can get that.
What's up?
Yes, sporting the indigo blue.
Pops
If you're
those-
medium, you got to get that red. I'm
pops-
sorry.
It's true. No,
I'm sorry.
Because of him.
did I buy the last one?
Actually,
JK.
I don't think so. I don't know.
I didn't buy them.
But yeah, t-shirts, koozies, stickers, and all three in a package deal for $11.99. You can find that all on howmanyfingerspodcast.bigcartel.com. And then again, on our website, howmanyfingerspodcast.com, there's a link to our Amazon affiliate link and our iTunes affiliate link. If you click on either, anything you purchase within 24 hours from each prospective platform, after clicking that link, we'll get a little cut of that. Really easy way to support the podcast without going too far out of your way. Just do your normal shopping, buy a record, buy an iTunes,
the whole iTunes.
Buy an
Just buy
iTunes!
it.
and buy something on Amazon, and we'll get a nice little cut of that. And check out our review of... I don't know what we're doing next week, because this comes out...
The Mummy?
No, I think Mummy's before.
Oh, The Mummy's.
Check out our review last week of The Mummy,
The Mummy,
featuring
yeah,
Nick
go.
Ocello.
There you go. Time
I
travel.
think that's it. Connor, thanks for coming on.
Hey guys, I just want to say thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, and I also want to say this is probably the best podcast I listen to, and I listen to at least 4.
Aw.
So, this
Best
is
out of 4.
yeah, best out of 4. Which
High
is,
praise.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys are doing good. I'm getting teary-eyed.
Oh, thank you.
Cry, 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 cry. He's getting married!
Best of luck at your wedding. Signing
Thanks,
out
man.
for How Many Fingers a Podcast. I'm Mike,
I'm Joe.
I'm Connor.
and it comes at night. Yeah.
Nice!
Nailed it.
Hey guys, thanks for listening, and thank you to our sponsor, Spiders Will Eat Your Face, available on Amazon Prime, Instant Watch, and Amazon.com. Spiders Will Eat Your Face is a documentary about the history of pet tarantulas in America. That is Spiders Will Eat Your Face, the movie, on Amazon.